Welcome back, everyone. We do have our eye on politics tonight, and particularly a peek behind the curtain in the political field. We've heard about the powerhouse names in Texas, like Attorney General Ken Paxton, Governor Greg Abbott, to name a few, but have you heard the name Tim Dunn? He isn't an elected official, but as Texas Monthly learned, the billionaire holds some weight in politics. Want to bring in Russell Gold right now, who's laying it all out for us in an extensive article. Russell, thank you so much for joining us here tonight for this deeper discussion. Our first question here centers around this billionaire in Midland, Texas. Tim Dunn is a name that many people may not recognize in the political scene. So what can you tell us about who he is, maybe, and how you were able to learn about him?
Sure. Thanks for having me. Well, first of all, you need to start with the fact that Tim Dunn is an oil billionaire. He has run a company, an independent Permian Basin oil producer for many years. But in some ways, that's the least interesting thing about him. What's more interesting is that starting about 15 years ago, he's really systematically built up his own political machine in Texas. And its campaign contributions, its PACs, and its influence with some of the leading political figures in our state, like Attorney General Ken Paxton, like Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, and a number of members of the Senate and House. Arguably, there are really three political parties or movements in Texas right now. They're the Democrats, what's left of the centrist Republicans, and then a group further to the right who really are beholden to Tim Dunn and his political contributions.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you, what has Texas Monthly been able to find out when it comes to how he wields the power of money in the political world specifically?
Right, that's a great question. Tim Dunn is not the kind of checkbook campaign contributor that you sometimes see, who will just write a check and likes to have a politician on speed dial. He's built this machine where he'll go, him and his people in his orbit will go to legislators and say, look, we really want you to vote a certain way on these bills before the legislature right now, and we're going to rate you on them. We're going to put a 1 to 100 scale based on a certain number of votes. And one of the patterns that I recognize is that session after session, if you're not scoring in the 90s or high 80s, if you start slipping to the 70s, you're very likely going to have a challenge in the primary funded by Tim Dunn and some of his associates, and quite often using political consultants and social media influence machines that are funded also by this same group. So they'll just sort of create their own candidates, and they really have the ability to make or break political careers.
Yeah, obviously he's got very, very deep pockets to do all of that, as you mentioned. There was also an interesting interaction with a state senator from Greenville, which is just northeast of Dallas. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Right, that's former state senator Bob Duel. He's a family physician out of Greenville. And in 2014, he found himself running against this little-known person named Bob Hall, a recent transplant from Florida. And the election was really just bizarre in some ways. Bob Hall accused him of being controlled by Satan, and he said that he was taking orders from the United Nations to put bike lanes on our interstates. And Bob Duel told me it was just all lies. And after the election, he wrote a letter to Tim Dunn and said, look, you might not want me as your senator, but you can't possibly want someone who thinks Satan is controlling it and just, spouting all this nonsense, which doesn't have any factual basis. And Bob Duel was a conservative. Don't get me wrong. He was not a liberal by any stretch of the imagination. So he wrote this letter to Tim Dunn. He never heard a response. And what he told me is his conclusion was, as long as Tim Dunn and his political machine got the puppets they wanted in the legislature, they didn't really care about the qualifications. And the person who defeated him, Bob Hall, remains a state senator from outside Dallas.
Again, we know you've done so much work to try and learn more about Tim Dunn. So we want to thank you, Russell, for joining us for today's discussion. There is a whole lot more revealed in your article, of course, and you can read all about it on TexasMonthly.com. You can also watch all of our past discussions with Texas Monthly on CBSNewsTexas.com. Russell, we thank you once again. We'll be right back.